Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about how to use paragraphs in our writing. Up until this point, probably most of you have been writing in one giant paragraph when you guys write a story. So we're going to be looking at authors' works, we're going to be looking at my work or Mrs. Ray's work, and then we're going to look back into our own writing and learn about where we need to divide our writing into paragraphs. There are several different reasons to change paragraphs in your writing, and here is a poster which you guys are going to have a copy of to glue into your writing notebooks that kind of outlines when to change paragraphs. The first reason to change paragraphs is if in your writing a new character comes along. So if you are writing and you have one character kind of in your setting, in your story so far, and then a new character appears. Maybe they come in, because they've met the first character, or, they come in and they say something. In that situation, you need a new paragraph. The second reason to change paragraphs is when a new event occurs. So say something is happening along in your story and all of a sudden something else happens and it's a new event. In that case, you need a new paragraph. If a new idea is introduced, for example, if you're writing nonfiction and you were going on about some topic and all of a sudden you switch topics and you switch ideas and you introduce a new idea, that would be a case where you would need a new paragraph. This one is really common. Anytime the setting changes in your writing, if you are at one point at the mall, and then the next second you're back at home, that would be your setting changing, okay? So that would be a reason where you would need to change paragraphs. If you have a new person speaking, say one person is talking and then a second person responds to them, that would be a reason to change paragraphs. So this is a really tough one because every single time you have a character going back and forth with another character, every time that new person starts talking, you need to switch paragraphs. So if I said to Mrs. Gannon, "Hi, how are you?" and then Mrs. Gannon responded, "I'm good, how are you?" and then I said, "I'm good, thanks," that would be three different paragraphs. Another reason why you should change paragraphs is if your timing moves forward or backward a lot. So anytime that you have, for example, a flashback when your time is moving backward, then you would need a new paragraph. If, for example, you say 1 week later or 1 day later or even 1 hour later, that's time moving forward and you would need a new paragraph for that. The last reason to change paragraphs is something that's really kind of easy and great to think about. It's anytime, if you imagine your story being a movie, and anytime the camera would move, not just, move a little bit to the edge, but anytime your, quote, invisible camera, anytime that would move to a different location or onto a different person, then that would be a great reason to change paragraphs. So if you think about it in terms of a movie or a TV show, that can kind of help you understand when to change paragraphs. If you notice here on the side that I have these symbols right here, and you might be thinking to yourself, what are those symbols? Those are the paragraph symbol. It looks kind of like a backwards P with a line through it. And that's the symbol for paragraph. So I want you to remember that because that's something really important. If you ever see Mrs. Ray or me put that on your writing, that means that you need to change paragraphs at that point. Or if you are inserting paragraphs and you have forgotten to indent and start on a new line, then this symbol is always an option for you to just kind of insert that into your writing to let your teachers know that you're going to change paragraphs there. You might be wondering to yourself, okay, that's all well and good, but how do I even format my paragraphs? How do I make it look like a paragraph on my page? Well, the first way, when you know it's time to start a new paragraph, if you have a reason, say for example your camera is moving, so you know you need to start a new paragraph, all you do is on your lined piece of paper, you stop writing on that previous line. It doesn't matter if you've only written one word or one letter on that line, or if you've totally filled up that line. You stop writing on that line and you start writing on a new line. You're going to go to the next available line. Do not skip a line in between one paragraph and another. You don't need that space. But you do need to start on a completely fresh line, one that has no writing on it. And then once you've gotten to the next line, you're going to indent 2 finger spaces from the left-hand margin. So that red line that's going down the side, if you put 2 fingers right next to each other, one right up against that margin, then you're going to start writing on the other side of that second finger and go ahead forward from there. So here's a fresh page from our writing notebooks, and if you look at this, this is exactly how I want you to do this. Now, every single thing that you write, if you are starting a new entry, you should start with a new paragraph. So you should never start writing right up against the margin. So this is what I'm talking about when I say the left-hand margin, right here, this line, this red line going down the side, okay? So when you're writing, you should never start a story right there. Never. Instead, you are going to stick your fingers right here up against this margin, and you right here, and you're going to put one right up against there, and then you would start writing right about here. So I'm going to say, hi. That's the start of my story. So say I'm writing along, and say I realize, oh my goodness, I have a new character coming in. So I know that that's about to happen. So I put my period here. I abandon the rest of this line, and I go immediately to the next line. I'm not going to skip a line. And then I'm going to go 2 finger spaces from the left-hand margin, and I'm going to say, Mrs. Ray walked in. Okay, and that's my new character being introduced, and I have indented to show that that's a new paragraph. So that's how I want everybody to be formatting their paragraphs. So let's look at this page. This is a page from a book called Esperanza Rising that several of you are going to be reading as the year continues. And so if we look here at this author, her name's Pam Munoz Ryan, and if we look at how she broke up her paragraphs, let's take a peek and see why she changed paragraphs when she did. So if we look here, just to give you a little bit of background, Esperanza, the main character, was doing some crocheting, and her work wasn't very good, right? And so she's saying that her stitches were lopsided and the bottoms of her valleys were all bunched up. So what she's creating is not going well. So here, our author changed paragraphs because it says, Abuelita smiled, reached over, and pulled the yarn, unraveling all of Esperanza's rows. So here we have a new paragraph. Now, I'm going to put the paragraph symbol. Normally, you would just indent, as we see in this example, but I'm going to do a paragraph symbol just to show you that that's where she put that new paragraph. And the reason why this is a new paragraph is because a new event has occurred. So Abuelita reaching over and unraveling her work is a different event that's occurred. Here, Esperanza sighed and began again with 10 stitches. Here's a second paragraph that she has. In that case, we are moving from character to character. In this one, Abuelita is the focus, and all of a sudden now Esperanza is the focus. So in this case, the camera is moving from Abuelita to Esperanza. Here we have another paragraph, a third paragraph, where it says, softly humming, Hortensia, the housekeeper, came in with a plate of small sandwiches. So in this case, a new person is being introduced, or a new character is coming along. So Hortensia is the character being introduced here, and that's why we changed paragraphs. Then if we look down, we have some dialogue. Mama's saying, no, thank you. And so that new person speaking is making it so that we need to change paragraphs. So just in that little half page, we see 4 different reasons that a professional published author has changed paragraphs in her writing. So now I'm going to take a look at my own writing, and you guys have all seen my writing from the videos that we've made before, but I'm just going to take a glance at some of my old entries and see why I changed paragraphs when I did. So here, this is the beginning of my very first entry where we practice sensory writing, and you'll notice that I started my story with a new paragraph. So that first right there, you can see that I've indented 2 finger spaces in order to start my story. Then, if we look down here at the bottom, I change paragraphs because it says, "It's beautiful," I exclaimed to my friends. And then it says, "Suddenly I felt my elbow jut to the side as someone ran into me." So that is another new paragraph right there, because a new event is happening, right? Something is happening that was not happening in the previous paragraph, and my camera is moving because all of a sudden someone's running into me. So that's a change in time and a new event happening. Here is a little excerpt from my Thought Shots entry, and of course I have at the beginning again a new paragraph when I start my writing, but then down here you'll notice that I have another new paragraph, and it says, "My thoughts traveled back to my childhood home in Medfield, Massachusetts." So this was a flashback, remember when we were practicing Thought Shots, and here you will notice that the reason I changed paragraph is because time is moving forward or backward a lot, right? It's definitely moving backward, all the way back to my childhood. So because time is moving, I need to change paragraphs. So now it's your turn to go back into your personal narrative story, the story that you wrote and highlighted with a partner, where you practiced all 5 of the skills that we worked on previously, and you are turning into your teachers. I want you to go back in your writing notebook to that entry, and I want you to read your entry or your personal narrative over again. And I want you to insert the paragraph symbol in any spot where you think you should have changed paragraphs. Now, I don't want you to just put the paragraph symbol in a bunch of places. Instead, I want you to find 3 places where you feel very certain, 100% that you know you need a new paragraph there. So if we look at my writing, on this page right here on the right, we've got a lot of different paragraphs. So I'm going to put paragraph 1. Of course, I'm writing over my own writing, and you guys won't do this. But I'm going to write the paragraph symbol and then a 1 with a circle in front of it. Then I'm going to do paragraph 2 here with a circle. There we go, 2. I'm writing very small. Here is 3. Okay, so say those are my 3 spots where I'm 100% sure I need new paragraphs. Now, I'm going to take paragraphs 1, 2, and 3, and then on the next fresh sheet of paper, I am going to write the reason from this poster right here that I needed to change paragraphs there. Now, I do not want you to do what I just did and have 3 different spots that's the same reason. For example, if you look, I have a new person speaking in all 3 of my paragraphs. So I don't want you to do that. I want you to have different reasons, as many different ones as you can, for why you're changing new paragraphs, just so that you can practice all of them, not just, a particular one, for example, a new person speaking. So what you're going to do then is on your next fresh sheet of paper, you would write, let me move this down out of our way. You would write then paragraph 1 with a circle around it and then a dash, and you would say new person speaking. Then you would write paragraph 2, and let's pretend that mine is not new person speaking. Let's pretend it's a new event. And then maybe paragraph 3 is time moving. Let's say moving forward. So on your next available page, or maybe even on a half sheet on the next, the top blank part of your page on the following page, it doesn't really matter. As long as you put at least 3 different spots where you should have changed paragraphs in your previous work and explained the reasons from our poster over here as to why you need to change paragraphs. You are welcome to do more than 3 spots. If you find 10 spots in your personal narrative where you should have changed paragraphs and you want to include all of them, that's fine. But we would prefer that you are just changing paragraphs at spots that you are 100% certain you need new paragraphs, not just ones where you maybe think you might need to change paragraphs. When you come in tomorrow, we are going to work on writing in paragraphs together, and we're going to check whether or not you split your writing into paragraphs correctly. So some of you are going to meet with a partner, actually all of you are going to meet with a partner, and you are going to explain to your partner why you said you needed to change paragraphs when you did. And your partner is going to check you and make sure that you're correct on that. You will also be getting a copy of that poster for your writing notebook, so you can go back to it and refer to it anytime in case you're not sure whether or not you need to be changing paragraphs in your writing. So you can always kind of go back and check that. So good luck, and we will see you tomorrow.